Okay, so let's talk about raising your prices. And probably one of the most common fears you have is, I just feel like my current customers probably won't pay my new prices. So if that's a question that you're going through, first of all, it probably means it's time to raise your rates because you're thinking about it, you're mulling this over, and it's probably time. Here's a couple reasons why, or ways that we know it's time to raise your rates. So number one, when's the last time you raised your prices? I just was going through a client's pricing for different services that they offer, and we were looking at how we're going to do their pricing increase and strategy there. And she said, hey, I haven't really raised my rates for this in 3 years. 3 years? I mean, the cost of toothpaste at the grocery store goes up every year, right? Because we know that production costs more and inflation and all of those things. So baseline, you should be raising your rates if it's been several years. And not only that, right? Not only the fact that inflation and all those things, if you've been a photographer for 3 years and haven't changed your pricing, your expertise, your photos, your experience that you offer your customers, that has significantly grown over 3 years. And so of course your prices should reflect that. Maybe you've only raised a few $100s or something like that. I don't think that is the best way to start to reach our new levels of business revenue and serving new people with the most transformation possible. So, number one, if you haven't raised your rates in a couple years, it's definitely time to raise your rates. Second, kind of going along with this idea of you've grown your expertise, you've grown your knowledge, your skills, you've invested in yourself. Look around at your competition. I think this is a great thing to do, not out of comparison in a negative way or anything like that, but just get a gist of what's going on around you. What are people just like you with the same level of skills, knowledge, expertise? What are they charging for their services? And I think that's really important because that gives us the idea to know potentially, okay, we're severely underpriced here. If we look around that 3 or 4 relative offerings, we can see that that's the case. A third reason we know it's probably time to raise your prices is you're becoming kind of bitter. You're getting burnt out and you're kind of almost resenting your client. You feel like, dang, they're getting a deal. Like, I'm frustrated that I feel like I'm spending all of this time and it feels like I'm making no money. It feels like I'm not getting any traction. Sometimes I think that we feel like in order to be of service, we want to keep our prices really low. And that's really short-term vision because in the long term, you're going to burn out. You're not going to be able to produce your best work. And potentially you are going to become very resentful of your clients. And that's not what we want. That's not going to create sustainability in your company. So if internally you're feeling a bit burnt out, frustrated, I went through this myself. I was like, man, I feel like I'm massively over delivering here. And I started to feel that way. I was like, you know what? I know what this means. And I quadrupled my pricing. And so this can totally be something that might need to happen for you in your company. Number 4, your clients, your customers are kind of subtly letting you know that you should raise your prices. I've talked to many women who are in that, I'm really scared, but I feel like I should raise my prices. Even my customers are saying man, I'm getting such a deal. Or my customers are telling me how much they think their the value is beyond. And we always want that to be the case. We want our clients to feel and to experience that they are getting beyond what they're paying for. But this is also a pattern that we need to keep our ears open to because this probably is a signal that something's off in our pricing. So I could talk about pricing a lot and get into pricing strategy at time, but here are 4 ways that you know it's time to raise your rates. And I would love to hear in the comments which one of these resonates with you the most. Do you feel like you've not raised your rates in quite a while? And so, man, it's time. Do you look around at your competition? Do you think about your expertise, your skills, how much you've grown and say, I'm definitely undercharging? You know, that's number 2. Number 3, do you feel burnt out and like internally you're starting to get frustrated with your client because you know that you're over delivering and it's not their fault, it's your fault? And then number 4, are your clients almost telling you, man, I would pay more. This is really low compared to what I would choose or be willing to pay. What number are you? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do any of these resonate? Do all of these resonate? I'd love to hear in the comments. Also, let me know if you have any questions about this and if you think it's time to raise your prices. I'd love to chat. And you know what? I've created a resource that could get your wheels turning on pricing and sales, all this stuff. So be sure to grab my free guide, the Savvy Sales Guide. It's linked in the comments in the bio, so be sure to grab that.